Hello and welcome to the Shoot Your Thought podcast. You know what I was just thinking, Neil? As we were listening to that intro for the 28th time, that guy, I remember the guy that did the sound for our intro, when he sent it to me, he was so excited about it. I don't know if I ever told you about this, but he was like, all right, Josh, let's get this going. And then he just went for it. And then he's like, hope everything's great with you.
I wonder if he actually speaks like that in real life. You know?
That's just how he talks every day.
He just goes out. He goes on a date, speaking like that.
What are your interests and hobbies?
Do you like long walks on the beach?
Are we going back to my place? Yeah, this is the stuff I think about when I'm alone. I'm alone a lot.
Let's get a hold of this guy. We need answers.
We're gonna have him on one day, and we're gonna ask him all these questions. All right, we got a fun episode today. We're going to talk the NBA champions, the Milwaukee Bucks. We're going to talk all about that. We're going to talk going into this NFL season. There's a lot of questions that need to be answered. And then we're going to talk the NHL expansion draft, which is tonight. Again, talking about questions that need to be answered. Seattle, coming after your team. But let's get started with the Milwaukee Bucks. Giannis pulling off the performance of a lifetime. 50 points. What was it? 17 for 18 from the free throw line, which is, for Giannis at least, is unheard of.
My God. The performance that we just witnessed in the NBA Finals this year from Giannis, after what was easily, what could have been a career-altering injury that he had in that series previous with Atlanta, yeah. I think, I thought we were really quick to wipe out the Milwaukee Bucks after that series, and for him to come back and be sprinting and be hustling and be on both ends of the floor, just the defensive and offensive performance that we saw from Giannis is, this will be talked about for a long time.
His defensive stats last night, his blocks, some of his blocks were just unbelievable. The way he can just get up, at the drop of a dime to stop a shot. It's just insane.
It got to a point where the Phoenix Suns were coming down the floor every time and trying to avoid Giannis, but he was such a large figure on the defensive end that he could not be stopped. No matter where you were on the floor, he was either altering a shot or blocking a shot.
Yeah.
In that fourth quarter, Devin Booker, I've never seen a player cry as much as Devin Booker had with the refs calls.
There were some questionable calls.
He got stuffed multiple times by Giannis.
Yeah. PJ Tucker a couple times literally just stripped the ball off of him, and it was a good turnover, but obviously Devin Booker was upset about it. Also, Chris Paul, I feel so bad for him, but he did not play well. He did not, some of his turnovers were just, so unnecessary. And it wasn't just Chris Paul, there were a lot of unnecessary turnovers in this game, but, you gotta play better than that in the finals. In an elimination game, in a potential series, season-ending game, you gotta play better than that, for sure. But, I feel bad for Chris Paul.
Did you think that the Bucks were going to win this game? They won 4 in a row. They had the, sort of sweep in this series, winning 4 games after going down 0-2. Similar to the Raptors in the Milwaukee series a couple years ago.
Exactly. I'm sure the Milwaukee Bucks fans and their players are thinking about that series where they were up 2 games and then lost 4 games in a row to our Toronto Raptors. And I knew they were going to win this game. I knew the Bucks were going to close it out, especially when it's at home and they have, their fan base behind them in the building with them. I knew they were going to close it out. I was hoping that it was going to go to a Game 7. I knew I was going to be working for the Game 7, so I didn't really. I would have preferred to watch them win, but I knew the Bucks were going to win this game. They had the momentum with them, and the Suns at points in this game just looked defeated. Just looked their heads weren't in it, their spirits weren't in it. This was the Bucks game to lose.
The Bucks scored 105 points in this game. 105. Giannis had 50
points.
14 boards, 5 blocks, and he went 17 for 19 from the floor.
17 for 19, okay. was giving him a little too much credit when I said 17 for 18.
He scored 33 of his 50 points in the second half. 33. You know,
He saw it. He saw the championship. He saw it was within his reach, and he's like, "There's no turning back now. We're not going to Phoenix for Game 7."
He doesn't have Giannis doesn't have the same sort of level of hype as someone like a Kobe or Jordan or LeBron. He doesn't have that same sort of star hype.
You don't think
Probably
Giannis does?
because he plays in Milwaukee. You know, Milwaukee's like not the same sort of market as in LA or even a Chicago.
Yeah,
He
it's not the
doesn't
same
have-
sort of market, but Giannis himself, he's a 2-time league
He's a star,
MVP. Like,
but he doesn't have the same sort of. He doesn't draw the same sort of crowd. I think. You know, like who would you get more excited in seeing, Giannis or Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan?
I mean,
Or
okay,
LeBron
yeah,
James?
but Giannis is only 26 right now. Like he's got a long. He just signed a max extension. Like he's now the highest paid player in NBA history. Like I don't know. Does this turn around the narrative of Milwaukee is not a big city sports team? Does this turn around the narrative now? Is
I don't think
Milwaukee
it does.
the
I
team to
think
beat?
you know a lot can be said when I look at this run that the Milwaukee Bucks had in the playoffs. You know, there was a lot of doubt. You know, a lot had to be riding on Giannis's back for this series, and Giannis coming in and whether he was healthy or not, without Giannis, they would not be anywhere close to winning the championship.
No.
That being said, without injuries to star players on Brooklyn, without injuries to star players on LA, on both sides of LA,
Yeah.
you know, this could be a very. We mentioned earlier when we did other episodes of this podcast that injuries have really been the storyline of the NBA playoffs.
Of the whole season.
The whole season, right? So who knows, like what could be over the next few years? But I think next year, Milwaukee will not compete for a championship. They'll probably make the playoffs, but with a stacked lineup like Brooklyn, if they're healthy,
I think Milwaukee still makes it pretty far in the playoffs. I think they're a good team. It's going to be pretty much the exact same team next year. A lot of them are still under contract. Like your PJ Tucker even got traded mid-season, and he's not going to go anywhere else. Like this is his best
PJ
chance.
Tucker should retire.
He probably should retire. He probably
retire.
should. But he's a physical presence that Milwaukee needs.
Mm.
But this was not Brooklyn's year because of how their whole season. I think that the big three only played 7 games together the entire season. And then with the injury to Kyrie, the injury to Harden in the postseason, this was not their year. KD can only carry a team so far. And they don't have the depth, and that's what they need to bulk up with in the offseason is just some depth. But it wasn't their year. I think next year if we see a healthy Brooklyn, I think we see Brooklyn in the finals, from the east side at least. If you have a healthy Lakers, a healthy Clippers, this final could look a lot different. But this season, the story of this season was injuries, like you said, which is unfortunate for other teams, but fortunate for the Phoenix Suns and the Milwaukee Bucks because they now won a championship. The argument will always be made that if injuries didn't happen, what the end of the season would look like. People are still making arguments about the Raptors.
Yeah, about KD's injury, Clay's injury.
They'll interview Clay or KD now, and they'll say if you guys were healthy, would you have won that championship? And they're like, oh yeah, Raptors wouldn't have stood a chance. I disagree. I think the Raptors were a better team.
Still upset even after they won the championship.
Yeah, right? Shut the fuck up.
Another storyline that came out of this playoff series is Chris Paul. And this is another playoff collapse from Chris Paul. Over the course of his career, Chris Paul's earned a reputation as one of the best point guards.
He's the point guard
in the league. However, he's gained a bit of a reputation in losing leads in playoff series. And unfortunately, this is another year where a Chris Paul-led team collapsed in the playoffs. After going up 2-0 over Milwaukee in the series in the first 2 games in Phoenix then proceeded to drop 4 games in a row to Milwaukee. This is the 4th time in his career that Chris Paul has lost after going up 2-0
Yeah.
in a series. You know, he's the first player ever to blow 4 series leads like that. You know, it happened in 2008 against the Spurs. It happened in 2013 when he went 2 up.
Who was he playing with in 2008?
The Clippers.
Clippers, yeah. Okay.
And then 2013 he went up 2-0 against the Grizzlies, still with the Clippers.
Yeah.
3-1 he was up against the Rockets in 2015, lost that series, up 3-1. He was against the Blazers in 2016 when he had a broken hand.
Right, I remember that.
He was up 3-2 against the Warriors in 2018, then he was up 2-0 this year against the Bucks. You just got to feel for him, right? Like, he's been in this spot so many times. It looked like he might finally be able to, like, go over that hump, you know, that he's been trying to this entire time, but he's heading into his 17th season next year. I don't think he's going to have a chance like this ever again.
No, I think the reason, as much as I hate to say it, and as much as I love this Phoenix Suns team, the reason they were in the finals was because of injuries to other teams. And same could be said for the Milwaukee Bucks, but yes, the reason, I don't think, like you said, next season, the Phoenix Suns will not be in the finals conversation. They're a good team. Devin Booker is a great young player. Like, he was told by Kobe Bryant to be legendary, and that's, like, you know, the narrative that's always around Devin Booker. DeAndre Ayton's an amazing center, and this team is going to do great things, but I don't know. Maybe not with Chris Paul.
I don't know. It was a great acquisition. You know, Booker and Chris Paul, when they joined forces on Phoenix, they even reached out to Jay Crowder. They sent him a text saying, "Hey, we need you."
We need you because he went to the finals with Miami last year. And
He
lost.
was. So he's got that championship DNA, but he also has that championship losing DNA. Right?
That's the thing. Miami
He
did
struggled in the fourth quarter as well. Countless open looks that Jay Crowder had.
There were so many open looks, and not just from Crowder. Devin Booker had so many open looks and just couldn't capitalize on them.
Couldn't do it. It wasn't falling for them, you know, and they just looked lost on the offensive side. You know, they were lucky that Milwaukee had some lost possessions in that fourth quarter that kept it close. But fuck, man, like, even after they stormed back in the second quarter to outscore, I think they outscored Milwaukee by 23 points in the second quarter.
Yeah. They came back, They were down by 13 and they came back. And yet, here we are talking about how the Phoenix Suns couldn't get it done.
Where do the Milwaukee Bucks go from here?
They're going to keep the same team. I don't think there's not much they're going to do this offseason. Maybe like some small, like maybe we'll see PJ Tucker move to make some cap space. But I don't think this team is going to change all too much. I want to talk about what the Phoenix Suns are going to do, especially with Chris Paul. Because does Chris Paul stay in this offseason? Or does he try and go to another team again and try and win win a championship?
So apparently he's not considering retirement. He's 36. I don't know if he can continue playing at the level that we're used to seeing Chris Paul play at. You know, and I don't know if we can see continued, like, sustained performance, sustained elevated performance, especially in the playoffs. You have to elevate your performance in the playoffs.
100%.
He might be a starter this year, but after this year, he might not be a starter.
I think he's still a starter.
He might be a rotational player, a la Vince Carter, the way he got to later in his career.
Yeah, but Vince Carter played until he was like 41.
So keep in mind, point guards don't play that late into their career. You don't see 40-year-old point guards around the league.
Yeah, fair. Now that I think about it, unless Kyle Lowry's gonna play until he's 40.
Kyle Lowry played until he's 49 years old. Absolutely. That man is made of rocks.
He's Well, we won't talk too much about what the Raptors are gonna do, but I think
Kyle Lowry, if you're listening, I'm gonna start my own D League team. You can sign with me, buddy. I'll keep you until
you're 50. Just throw him on. I mean, he will for sure want to play until he's 50.
I do believe Kyle Lowry is listening right now.
I do believe he is too. Yeah, he has a burner account that he signs in on and listens to us. Yeah, 100%. He probably follows us on Instagram on one of his burner accounts. 100%. I totally believe that.
Some crazy. A lot of these star point guards in the league are getting older right now. Steph Curry's gonna be 34 this year. I think Kyle Lowry's gonna be 35 this year. Chris
but if
Paul,
we're not seeing any decline from Steph Curry. Like, if anything, he's getting better with age.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how many years do you see out of Steph though?
I think he's going to play for a while. I think he's has no signs of slowing down, at least for now. So I think he's got years left in him, years and years left in him. Also, another thing I want to talk about from last night: can we stop giving the championship, the Larry O'Brien Trophy, to the owners first? I can think of no better buzzkill than having a team celebrate and be so excited to lift it, and then giving it to the old rich white guys that bought the team a couple years ago and maybe have gone to 5 or 6 games. And we give them the trophy and they lift it, and the players are just standing awkwardly behind them.
Yeah, I know.
It's not good for optics. I get that, like, yes, they're the team owners and, like, we have to acknowledge that, but, like, for optics at least, there's no better buzzkill than giving it to the owners before the players.
Hockey does it right.
Hockey does it right.
That's one thing Gary Bettman has done really well, is
The one thing
that he's done really well is give the trophy to the captain of the team that won the fucking Stanley Cup.
Yeah. And then he lifts it, and as soon as he lifts it, everyone goes crazy.
Yeah.
But did you see how awkward that trophy ceremony was last night?
It's always awkward. Same thing with the NFL.
NFL does it too.
You know?
MLS does it too. Yeah, it's so
not
weird.
like it's not like the fucking owner put his blood, sweat, and tears into the finals guarding Chris Paul, guarding Devin Booker. It's not like the owner almost sustained a torn MCL and played through it.
Yeah.
It's not like the owner did that. All the owner did was cut the check.
Yeah, that's it.
He didn't earn anything. You know what I mean? The players earned it. So it's only fitting that to your point, it's only fitting that the trophy goes to the person that earned it the most, and then they can dictate if they want to hand it to the owner or not right after.
Who they want to hand it to, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They work so hard to get to it, At least give them the dignity and the respect that's needed here. You know what I mean? It's a little thing called a trophy, It's something they worked the entire season for. They put their bodies through. They travel on the road away from their families. Just give them the fucking trophy.
Yeah, it was. Hang on. That disc is too slow. Yeah, let's stop recording for a second. Might have to do this. Don't you agree, though?
Yeah. Of course I agree.
Fuck those owners. Unless it's Mark Cuban. Okay, I give it to Mark Cuban first. Okay, so the last thing we were saying was...
Trophy, something they worked the entire season for. They put their bodies through. They travel on the road. Just give them the fucking trophy.
Give them the fucking trophy. Are you ready? No, yeah, I agree. It was such an awkward ceremony. It was just... Yeah, if that was my team, which I mean, besides the Raptors, it never will be. But, yeah, no, that would just make me angry. Like, stop giving it to... We're at 18 minutes, by the way.
Sweet.
I don't know. What are your thoughts on that, Neil?
No, obviously, I think that it should go to the players. Giannis earned it, but I feel like Giannis. We're only scraping the surface here. He's played for 8 years already, since he was 18, since he was a little babyface kid.
Did you see the picture that they put up last night of like him when he started to?
It's so funny. I still remember that clip of I forget who it was, but there's a player that asked. I was sitting on the bench. I was so mesmerized when Giannis made his debut performance in the league, and he asked Giannis, he's like, "Yo, how old are you?" And Giannis is like, "I'm 18." And after Giannis
Is that your
scampered
Giannis
away,
impression?
yeah.
I'm 18. That's
When
great.
Giannis scampered away, I think it was Reggie Evans.
Okay.
And it was when Reggie Evans is like, "Damn, that kid is not 18. Like, he is built."
Yeah.
And of course, like, Giannis continued to grow and put on muscle over the
He's
years.
bulked up quite a bit since
Dude,
then.
he's only 26 years old. He's
26.
Basketball players usually start to peak between 26 and 29. So he's only entering his prime right now, which is fucking scary. There's so
That's
much more
scary.
room for improvement. I mean, if this guy can have a bona fide, nothing to take away from Chris Middleton, but Chris Middleton's trash. Like, he is
You just said nothing to take away from Chris
I'm
Middleton.
not trying to bash.
But you're shit.
This isn't a segment to bash Chris Middleton, but he isn't a Robin to Giannis's Batman.
Who else would be?
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying, like, Giannis needs a bona fide Batman to his Robin. He needs a bona fide second scorer. You know,
I think that's Chris Middleton, in my opinion.
oh man, if how many points did Chris Middleton have last night?
He's a clutch player. He put out some clutch shots. He's like, I'm not going to put him in the same category as Dame Lillard, but like, he's your player that you want with the ball at the end of the game.
The reason the Raptors were able to spank around the Milwaukee Bucks for 4 games in a row is because they figured out how to guard Giannis. If Milwaukee wants to contend for the next couple of years, they have to find a bona fide second scorer. And Chris Middleton's not it. Chris Middleton's he's a solid scorer. You know, it might be a little harsh for me to say he's trash, but you know, like, he's not.
I mean,
he's not
like,
something that defenses will look to have to shut down. And you know, I don't understand why Phoenix didn't follow the same game plan that the Raptors did a few years ago when they, you know, clamped down on Giannis and kind of forced him into jump shots.
who would shut down Giannis though? On
Not Frank
Suns?
Kaminsky. I'll
I
tell you
mean,
that.
yeah, no, he's not the option there. But
Kawhi Leonard.
Kawhi Leonard. Do you remember hearing the story? Have you ever heard the story about what happened after the Raptors went down 2 games in that series? Nick Nurse came into the locker room and like, we got to change things up. And Kawhi just spoke up and he's like, I'm guarding Giannis now. That's how we're gonna change things up. And then they went on to win 4 games.
Yeah.
If you put Kawhi Leonard on Giannis, he's probably not going to be the same player, and we saw that.
Yeah, Frank Kaminsky is not the answer, man.
No, they didn't figure out Giannis. That was the
Phoenix Suns need to figure out their backup center situation. Like, there's nothing around it. You know, they have DeAndre Ayton, and then after DeAndre Ayton, it falls off a cliff.
Yeah.
Frank Kaminsky shouldn't even be in the NBA.
He had a decent game last night. He threw up, I think, 6 points, which was like, I think the stat was that was more than he put up in the previous 5 games. So like, he had a decent game last night. But no, I agree. He's not the answer.
Frank the Tank Kaminsky.
Frank the Tank Kaminsky, but Tank is in a bad way this time. Yeah. Okay.
Brutal.
Fair enough.
All right, should we move on?
Let's move on to some questions that need to be answered in this NFL offseason. We saw Cam Akers is now done for the season before the season has even started with the torn ACL. He posted
really sad news, actually.
Yeah, he posted a thank you, I guess you want to call it, to the fans, or like a message to the fans about like what. Yeah, just like him being sorry and him being sad and him saying he's going to come back stronger, which is like, you know, the template of what players say usually when they get injured. But yeah, no, you got to feel for him.
It sucks because, you know, at the end of last season, Rams top rusher, Cam Akers, was starting to break out. You know, it was his rookie season last year. You know, we saw him put up a few 100-yard games. And like he looked like a star in the making. You know, he looked like he would be the new bell cow, similar to like Todd Gurley, what we saw in his first year with first couple of years with the Rams. You know, Cam Akers looked like someone who could catch the ball and who could run the ball proficiently, you know.
Yeah.
So he looked like a prolific pass rusher, you know. Sorry, pass catcher and rusher.
Yeah.
I think, you know, with this going down, he, especially in fantasy drafts, he was expected to be a top 15 draft pick.
100%.
Cam Akers, he was one of my keepers in one of my leagues, so I'm gonna have to change that.
Yeah.
But
You haven't submitted your keepers yet, have you?
this is why you don't do drafts this early in the season, right? Like we have most of our NFL fantasy drafts coming up at mid to late August. The season doesn't start until September. You're going to continue to see over the next few weeks some
More players being injured,
and that's going to affect your draft, right? So I feel for any drafts that have happened already.
Even like signings and like trades and stuff like that. Like
Yeah.
if you're a player, if you have a draft and you take, I don't know, a Dak Prescott. I'm not saying Dak Prescott's going to get traded, but like if he were to get traded to a team and become like almost like a backup or struggling for that starting position, like that's not who you want in your starting quarterback position. Like, so yeah, you always want to have your draft right before the season starts, right before.
Did you hear the news about Tom Brady playing last year with a torn MCL
NCL, yeah.
the entire season and winning the Super Bowl?
I mean, I could think of nothing more Tom Brady-esque than that story.
I don't know how much I read into that. I know he had surgery immediately after the finals, but
Do you believe that he actually played with the torn MCL?
I just hate Tom Brady so much.
Oh,
I don't
yeah,
believe a
100%.
single word he says.
Did you see his comment when the Bucks visited the White House? Did you see? I think what did he say? He said at the start of the season, not a lot of people thought we could win. In fact, a lot of people still think we didn't win. And I hear there are still 40% that believe we didn't win. I'm sure you know a lot about that, Mr. President, alluding to the fact that Trump supporters still don't think that Biden won. That was a little high-class white humor for you there.
Apparently, Tom Brady has like a small relationship with Trump too, which is pretty funny. That we would hear him crack a joke like that.
Yeah, because he is
expensive.
he's a Trump supporter. So I mean, like the fact that he said that was pretty funny. But yeah, no. And then there's the news about Aaron Rodgers. What the heck is going to happen with him? Like the season's coming up.
I don't know. I don't even think Aaron Rodgers knows what he's going to do this year. But he was offered an extension with the Green Bay Packers,
Which would make
a
him
2-year extension.
the highest paid player in the league.
Aaron Rodgers is 37 years old. He's
Yeah.
he's fucking 37 years old, but he's Aaron Rodgers. Like he was offered a 2-year extension to make him earn like $43 million a year, and he said, "Nah, I ain't about that life." Aaron Rodgers is so fucking caught up in his own head that like it's just out of control right now. If I were the Green Bay Packers, I'd move on from this.
Really?
Like you're in a spot now where you're at Aaron Rodgers' mercy. Like it should never come to this. It should never be you on your knees begging a player to play. If Aaron Rodgers has this, and we spoke about it before, if you in the slightest way, rub Aaron Rodgers the wrong way, he will disown you. Just ask his family.
You bring that up so often.
Because it's Aaron Rodgers. That's what
Yeah.
he does. Who does that? He hasn't spoken to his brother or his parents or anyone in his family in years.
Yeah.
Who knows what that reason was? Maybe they didn't fucking cook the turkey right for Thanksgiving. But
Just
whatever.
walks up in the middle of the meal. That's it. You're all done.
Yeah, this turkey's dry. We're done here. Walks out of the fucking house.
They offered him an extension. He turns it down. That's the Aaron Rodgers way.
Or you seen that clip with the kid and the dad during Thanksgiving dinner where the dad's like, "You're not part of the family anymore," and then the kid's like, "I'm not part of the family," and then flips the table over.
That's the
You
Aaron
ever
Rodgers.
see that? That's Aaron Rodgers.
That's Aaron Rodgers right there.
That's literally him. When Jordan Love was drafted, Aaron Rodgers is like, "I'm not the only good quarterback here anymore."
They
Flips the table over.
And that was what everyone asked him, right? As soon as, like, after that draft, like, it was also like, I don't know, you gotta kind of put yourself in Aaron Rodgers' position. Like, you know, as if you're Aaron Rodgers, you know you have years and years of good football left in you. And for your team to go out and draft with their first pick, draft a quarterback, like, what does that say to you as in your
Aaron
confidence
Rodgers
level?
has like come out on record and said that one of his issues with the team is that general manager Brian Gutekunst, I feel like I'm butchering that name.
I feel like we need to
Gutekunst.
I'm not even gonna try.
GM Brian failed to give him advance notice that they were gonna trade up in the draft to draft a quarterback.
Yeah, and you got to keep him. If we've learned anything from the movie Draft Day with Kevin Costner, you got to keep your quarterback in the loop. You gotta let your quarterback know what it is you're doing.
Yeah, I know. So I don't know. Like at 37, Aaron Rodgers, if he doesn't want to play for the Green Bay Packers, you know, there's talks about Denver wanting to reach out and try and make a trade for him. There's talks about other teams looking into this as well. I think Aaron Rodgers is best suited just retiring and being the host of Jeopardy. You know?
Okay, yes. If you were to retire and be the host of Jeopardy, I don't think a lot of people would be mad about it. But I think we're seeing like a Peyton Manning situation where there's in Peyton Manning's case there wasn't animosity, but you know, he went to another team late in his career and he succeeded in another team.
Aaron Rodgers, if he's not going to leave the NFL, he needs to, at the very least, leave the AFC. You know, so the Pittsburgh Steelers can have a chance.
Oh, that's what you wanted there. I was wondering why you were saying that, but little did I know that the Steelers fan came out strong.
Just get the hell out of the AFC.
Yeah, I think he will stay with the Green Bay Packers. I really do.
How do you decline that amount of money, though? I don't understand.
I don't know. And I don't know how the Packers will approach the situation now that he turned down that much money. Maybe offer him, because they offered him a 2-year contract. Maybe offer him a 1-year contract.
Well, we'll know very soon what he's going to be doing because training camp opens on the 27th in 6 days. We don't know if he's going to report on that day. We're going to see. But, you know, this is a big story coming out of the NFL because this could really impact Green Bay's performance this year. And another thing, Devontae Adams is a free agent after the season. Just saying.
Man, they've got some offensive weapons. And the fact that Aaron Rodgers doesn't, I don't know.
They don't have enough, though. Who's the 1A or even option 2 in that wide receiver core?
Alan Lazard.
Trash.
He's still pretty young, though.
He's not that good, though.
Yeah, but he was injured for most of last season.
Yeah, I'll give it to him. He did his best, you know, what he could do last year. But again, like you see teams like Tennessee loading up on Julio Jones and A.J. Brown and Derrick Henry. Could you imagine if Aaron Rodgers had that sort of core to work with?
I mean, how old is Tannehill? Tannehill is what? Yeah, I guess he's still pretty young.
36 or 37 now as well.
What if they just make a switch? Tannehill for Rodgers.
Tannehill is a great game manager, though. You know, like.
But he's no Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
You can't put Tannehill in the same conversation as Aaron Rodgers. Imagine if Aaron Rodgers goes to Tennessee. Are we calling it right now? Are they going to make a switch? Aaron Rodgers?
It would make no sense for Tennessee to do that. It would make a lot of sense.
It would make a lot of sense for them to do that. What are you talking about?
But that sort of super team is something that dreams are made of.
Can you imagine, though, if Aaron Rodgers goes to Tennessee? Because Tannehill, I don't think Tannehill is going to lead them to a championship. I think Aaron Rodgers leads them to a championship.
I don't know. That
you can put as many offensive weapons in front of Ryan Tannehill in Tennessee. I don't think Tannehill gets it done. I think if you put Aaron Rodgers over there, oh my God, I'm just thinking about how good that team would be.
All right, if you're doing this, why not put Mahomes on Tennessee then, you know, and see where that goes?
Well, Mahomes is not leaving KC. Like, I'm talking about actual situations that could happen.
Let's put Aaron Rodgers in Kansas City. Why don't we just do a swap there?
Swap Mahomes to come over to Green Bay and get it done there. No, I think Mahomes isn't going anywhere. But
obviously not. He signed for the next 12 to 15 years.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But I don't know. I think that Tennessee Green Bay trade sounds pretty good for both teams.
All right, let's move on.
Let's move on. We have the expansion draft, Seattle Kraken, coming into the league, coming into the NHL. And the expansion draft is tonight at 8 p.m. We're going to find out. I mean, they already know what their team's going to look like.
32nd team, I think? 31st?
32nd. I think Vegas was the 31st. I think Seattle's the 32nd. But, they submitted their team this morning. And we're going to find out who they're stealing from other teams tonight. There was a video. I know I mentioned it to you before we started recording today, but I didn't want to tell you what the video said until we were on the show. But there was a video that got leaked as to what player they're taking specifically from the Toronto Maple Leafs. They did like a funny it's Seattle Kraken as if what we saw was a true video and not just like a mock thing. They're doing like a cool reveal for all of their picks, and so they were in like a fish market, and a guy like caught a fish from over like a stand, and the fish had attached to it one of the picks, and so the host, like after the fish was caught, the host grabbed it, and the pick was. Do you have a guess? That's who they're taking from.
I think it's gonna be McCann.
From the Leafs?
James McCann.
Was it McCann?
Or Kerfoot.
It was Kerfoot.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this video is true. I don't know if there's any legitimacy to it, but TSN and Sportsnet and ESPN seem to think that this is a legitimate video. So I guess we're gonna find out tonight. But it was someone recording, like on their phone, like off to the side, and it was like a whole production. Like there were cameras there, there were like lights there, and this was like the guy was holding a microphone that said NHL on it. So I mean, like I don't know.
I think the move that the Maple Leafs made a week and a half ago to acquire James McCann is very strategic.
Jared McCann.
Jared McCann. To acquire McCann.
McCann.
I think it was it was super strategic because number one, he is unprotected, so there's a great chance that he can be selected by.
And they gave away nothing for him. They gave away
nothing.
Yeah.
Or, in a second way of viewing this, if they lose Kerfoot, which is a high chance of it happening, then they have McCann to fill Kerfoot's spot.
They have McCann.
So they just acquired another Kerfoot, probably to pay him less money than Kerfoot earns. I think McCann's only paid 2.9 or something a year.
And he's a good player.
Great. He played really well with the Penguins last year. I have no idea why the Penguins made that trade. Maybe they figured they were going to leave him unprotected anyways.
But, or maybe they have some cap space problems.
But I can, between Travis Dermott, Kerfoot, and McCann, one of those three are going to be gone. Guaranteed.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Ron Francis, who used to play with the Leafs for a couple seasons, who is now the general manager of the Kraken.
He did play for the Leafs, yeah.
Let's hope he has some mercy on his former
But yeah, I think the Leafs fans can sleep soundly knowing that most of their stars are protected. And I think any part of this expansion draft will give the Leafs the opportunity to better their team.
Speaking of unprotected stars.
Yeah, I was excited to talk about this, and I think I know what it is you're going to talk about. Are you going to talk about Carey Price?
Carey Price.
Let's talk about Carey Price.
What is happening? What is happening right now with Carey Price?
This is the biggest.
Another Marc-Andre Fleury scenario where,
Marc-Andre Fleury started off the Vegas franchise, but he was not and is not paid as much as Carey Price is. I think for the Canadiens to do this, for Carey Price to waive his no move clause, leaves him unprotected. But I think this is just the biggest flex that you could possibly think of. Like, I don't think Seattle's going to take on that contract. I do think it would be smart for them to take on that contract because, like, this is the player of a lifetime. Like, this is who you build your team around. I'm not seeing any legitimate arguments as to why Seattle should not take Carey Price. They've got a blank slate right now. They signed some players. They signed Chris Drager, and then they signed Adam Larson this morning to a $4 million contract, which is way too much for Adam Larson to be getting paid. But, you've got pretty much a blank slate. And why would you take Carey Price? You just saw what he did in the playoffs. If you want your team to be good or great, why wouldn't you take Carey Price? I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I don't think they're going to take him then. I just don't. I can't see a world where Carey Price, I mentioned it, his playoff performance aside, mentioned it before, his performance has been declining over the last several seasons in the regular season. Declining. To the point where the Montreal Canadiens went out last offseason and acquired Jake Allen. Now they're stuck with this massive contract. The salary cap next year is going to be 81.5. You've got 10.5 of that going to your okay goalie who's stellar.
You think Carey Price is still an okay goalie?
I think he's an okay goalie.
You don't think he's a great goalie? You don't think he's one of the
one
greatest?
Playoff performance is great. You know what I mean? He's
I'm not just talking about one playoff performance. Yes, he's had a bad season, but it was also an injury-riddled season for him. I think he's still a great goalie.
I can't see him.
Who's the player that Seattle builds their team around then? Who's the player that they pick in this draft? Who's their Marc-Andre Fleury?
Like, it doesn't have to be a goalie.
I'm not saying it has to be a goalie.
They're already going after. They already technically signed Dreger from Florida.
Yeah. And they signed Adam Larson this morning.
I believe
but they're not.
I think they're going to go after someone like Tarasenko.
I think Tarasenko does get drafted, but is Tarasenko a player you build your
Or
franchise
Landeskog.
Okay, Landeskog could be the player.
The captain.
How old is Landeskog?
The captain of Colorado is available in this draft.
Yeah.
How old is Landeskog?
How old is he? Yeah.
He's got to be in his late 20s.
Are you looking it up?
Yeah.
Okay. I know. I feel like maybe just because he's a captain, but I think he's a little bit older. Is he not?
No, he's 29.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah. He was born in 1992. I still think, if you're going to build a franchise around it, start with a captain first. Carey Price could easily be your captain. But Carey Price, just for, comparison's sake, when the Las Vegas Golden Knights selected Marc-Andre Fleury, he was a year younger than Carey Price is right now.
Right now.
For the Kraken to select him. So, it is comparison. The only reason I would say that Seattle shouldn't take him is because of the contract that Carey Price brings with him.
He just signed that contract too. I feel like pretty recently.
Yeah. So it could be a win-win if both teams don't pick him, because much of the Caps, problem right now is a lot of teams have a lot of contracts to dish out. Kraken have a lot of contracts to dish out right now and to pay, especially if they sign a bunch of young and upcoming, could be stars. They're gonna have to pay a lot of these players in 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, 100%. But that's a problem that most teams in the NHL have right now, right? They have a lot of players that are going to ask for big contracts. The Leafs, just finished dealing with this, and they're still dealing with it. They're.
So I'm gonna take a call.
You know what I mean?